So we'd like to say good afternoon, welcome. This is DN News Liberia, and we are coming to you live from the University of Liberia main campus here on Capitol Hill, where in a moment the Student Unification Party, SUP, is going to address the press. We have been briefed on some of the issues they're going to be talking about. But firstly, my name is Aaron Kuban, and I will ask you to share this live and invite others to follow as we just walk over to the guys. There are about two of them already prepared, and we've been told that more of them are going to come out of their classes and various areas they are on this campus. SUP has told us they are about to announce a mass protest action for July 26th. According to them, some of the issues they're going to be raising, the issue about the living condition in the country. They believe that the economy is tough. They have raised issue about corruption, President Bouakar's continuous suspension of government officials, and according to them, they've seen nothing going on with these people. Just suspend them and go on to sit. They've also struck a very cardinal point as it relates to the president's a recent move to rebury some past officials of the country. We saw the reburial of our former president Samuel Kanyando, who was buried in Zreju, Grand County quite recently. As we speak now, the memorial service of the late William Aratobo, who was killed in the 1980 coup by the man who was buried just a few days ago, that's Samuel Kanyando. So they've said that those are not issues that the government should be focused on. And we listened to their previous press conference where they raised issue about Doe's character and how he was, in their words, a mass murderer, and such an individual should not be given credence. Such an individual should not be given the level of respect this government has given him. And they believe that was a complete contradiction. In their words, they describe this as a cultural and spiritual contradiction of the entire country, historical contradiction as well, according to them. So they believe that the Unity Party government is treading on the wrong path to rebury those individuals. And then over to William Aratobo, whose memorial service is ongoing as we speak. And then following that, we understand there will be an unveiling of a memorial at the Baptist Seminary. As you know, he wasn't just a president, but also a reverend of the Baptist Church. So his memorial is going to be unveiled at the Baptist Seminary. SUP has raised concern also over the funeral service of the late President William Aratobo. They believe that late President William Aratobo also was a neo-colonialist. According to them, these were individuals who enslaved people. They quote-unquote refer to him as a Congo man who had brought Liberians under some level of harsh treatment, and they led the country for so many years, beginning from the Chewing Party that led the country for over 100 years. So they believe that such individuals should not be given the level of credence and respect that this government, is giving them. On the other hand, the government of President Joseph Imam Bouakar has made an argument that this is in line with national healing and reconciliation. We can recall that back in January of 2025, when the president went before the national legislature in his State of the Nation address, the president said that as part of reconciliation and national healing, there will be a committee set up to oversee the reburial, or one could say burial, of Samuel Kanyando, who was murdered by Prince Ward Johnson. And also you have the late William Aratobo also, who was murdered by Samuel Kanyando in a bloody coup. And so President Bouakar said that those are, activities. If we should heal this country, if Liberia should be healed from its past, its very dark past, then those individuals should be given some level of respect and then we can begin from the issue of our Palawa Hall and other things if we are done with burying those people. That is the vision and goal of the president, but Soup disagrees. Soup believes those individuals should not be respected, and in some corridors there are some discussions about Soup and other pressure groups demanding the reburial of thousands of people who also died during the Civil War in this country. We know about a number that is approximately around 250,000 people that died. Of that number, there are some people who, bodies cannot be located. Some of them got decayed in the street, and Soup and other pressure groups are saying if the president is reburying those people, then he should also rebury all Liberians or build a memorial in the honor of those people. So we're going to move over to the Palawa Hut. As a matter of fact, this is the political Palawa Hut of the University of Liberia. It should be used for all of the political parties here, but Soup is usually seen here, and they are popular for this area. So the chair on propaganda is addressing the press.
We actionary Tennessee. We actionary Tennessee. We actionary Tennessee. Joseph Boyka. Joseph Boyka. Joseph Boyka. Joseph Boyka. Carrying warlord. Carrying warlord. Carrying criminal. Carrying criminal. Zayo. The masses stayed on April 14, 1979 need to be remembered to Zayo. Zayo. Administrative printing is Zayo. Mana. Long live. On compromise and resolve the Student Unification Party. Long live. The fighting spirit general advocacies. Long live. The fighting spirit of the Liberian masses. Long live. We actionary Tennessee. Joseph Boyka. Jeremiah Kun, Samuel Doe, we don't our trouble. Tell you, even if you are lucky, they can be buried and still going heavy. Tell you. The community matter don't waiting for you guys, the opponents you guys against. Tell you. Saying if we bury your punishment, there will be plenty. Yo. Mana, Congress. Today is a very sad day for our country. A very sad day for democracy. A very sad day for truth telling and for reconciliation. Today, a nation birthed on the basis of patriotism, of courage, selflessness, and the determined motivation to protect and preserve itself, have been met with a tragic calamity that have befallen this republic by a sleeping, walking zombie president, an individual that has no historical and comparative analysis to the reality that confronted this space about 200 years ago. Today, the state weep. The state weep not only for justice, but for sincerity, for patriotism, for loyalty, and for commitment to history. Today, the nations in whom patriotic progressive forces lay down their life for on the altar.
Banka party must go
all the way.
Party must go
All the way.
Aluta,
comrades, Aluta. On the basis of this, we have assembled the press and the Liberian people on this political hekasovia.
Yeah.
this intellectual gasabu, to dismantle, to disorganize, and reconstruct the historical narrative in this country, and to remind Mr. Boyka with a caveat that this historical abomination will not go with impunity. Mr. Boyka can misuse state resources, can use state resources to disabuse historical antecedent, but the historical realities will be confronted in a more brutal way. We have multiple issues to dive with, beginning with the quote-unquote political venture and the yellow printing going propaganda that Lelias Mapaya, that quote-unquote the United Party government is effecting on her administrative decisions, intimidating her that she must resign if she doesn't reinstate individual that was dismissed unlawfully by her. Let us say this: the yellow printer going propaganda and Lelias Mapaya will be defeated first flag by the Student Unification Party. We want to inform the people of Liberia that this problematic going individual, Madame, who got political appointment on the basis that she was an American woman or American woman, is here misbehaving. Today, my parents became president of the University of Liberia without declaring on assets. But this is Liberia faster growing humanitarian. My parents is passing all around the place, distributing monies in tons. Look at this building today, it's in its worst stage. My parent doesn't have the moral span to renovate the university campus, but she is distributing state resources. Only because she wants to have an acclaim of an individual that is happy to improve women leadership and governance. What Liberians should know is that same Mapaya became president of this university with the quote-unquote expertise, international experience that she has brought nothing new to the university. On her watch, the university still remains and maintains a global status on international ranking as the #1 tested university in the world. The university still remains a global status as the #1 most unhygienic university that operates an unhygienic environment in the world. This is a madam that quote-unquote claim that she have led one of the most sophisticated and hygienic environment, but cannot transform or retrospect the standard that was laid in foreign land on her husband whom saw. This is a political administrative abomination that has been brought to the Student Unification Party and the university student by Joseph Boyka. Nobody is intimidating Mapaya. It is Mapaya's own shadows of administrative malpractices that are beating her. It is her conscience raised by the Student Unification Party that will demand reports to those people that were dismissed illegally without going through investigation. And today, Mapaya is running around with a less-than propaganda that she has been targeted. Now I say this: Dr. Lele Mapaya, you cannot go scot-free. Mr. Boyka cannot protect you on the university campus. If you think that you will not give the report to the Student Unification Party, rest assured that will be coming for you very soon. Thank God you are American citizens, you have U.S. Marine to your disposal. We'll tell you that this will be one of the most disastrous. If you cannot release the report, your stay at the University of Liberia is normal, and you'll soon be exiting the university. Mapaya was brought here to improve the university environment for learning. Mapaya was brought here to improve the administrative space to a more international standardized form. But what Mapaya have shown here on the university campus is she's using this space as a political theater to award Mr. Boyka and those cronies of Mr. Boyka that supported them in the 2023 election. Yesterday, many of you saw Lester Tenney, that was once upon a time a astute follower of the CDC, upon resignation from the CDC and lambasting Mr. Bwaka with praise and worship song all on the social media, the print media, and the electronic media today. Mr. Bwaka have instructed that the lady Mampanya to effectively, immediately, appoint that attorney. To appoint that the Leicester attorney as vice president for fiscal affairs at the University of Liberia. This Macy qualified a competent individual that occupy this position. But this is the Mampanya that is running around with a Leicester attorney yellow printing propaganda that the United Party is intervening with administrative functions at the University of Campbell. How come? When they see United Party government under Joseph Bwaka is telling Mampanya to dismiss people from e-administration and appoint them with individuals that supported the United Party or is currently supporting the United Party administration. What you see on Facebook, comment journalists and media practitioners is an information that you need to investigate and investigate thoroughly. Mampanya is an embarrassment to the University of Liberia as Joseph Bwaka is an embarrassment to the country.
Yo, that's Mampanya is a new president in the University of Liberia. Yo.
Fast forward on historical narrative permit us to remind Liberia that Mr. Bwaka is trending on a more dangerous trend that has the proclivity of degrading the peace of this country. The Student Unification Party, when Mr. Bwaka constituted the committee headed by Liberians to initiate the process for the reburial ceremony of then literary master Sergeant Samuel Kanyan Doe and the nepotistic cronyistic former President William Awatobo, the Student Unification Party, precisely on February 12, 2025, issued an ultimatum and gave Mr. Bwaka a clear historical analysis that Mr. President, your venture to rebury these individuals with questionable historical records. These individuals that have not paid patriotic services and homage to the state will only bring for you catastrophic disasters. Mr. Bwaka did not take the Student Unification Party advice and recommendations into consideration. Went above with an empty casted soiree, an empty casted mesmerizing and mismatches of individual pretending to be the me or former President Samuel Kanyan Doe. Before we go to the reburial venture committee, I'll remind the people like Liberia about some of the historical narrative and antecedent. This space created an independent laws in 1847, or basically formulated in 1820 or 1821, as history will have it, have had multiple and multi-thread contradictions that have involved. These contradictions, if not created by the socio-economic factors, was created by the political tension between a classes of people that felt that the only way they could maintain a hegemony was to keep certain layer of the people at bay and in perpetual slavery, quote unquote, when they proclaimed at the time to be a self-free and self-styled governing nation. It was these contradictions that bred multiple challenges for change. If it was not the 72 men or the 72 chief uprising in the Southeast, basically in Sano County, that was burned alive, it was the resilience of the people of this country to not pay the interior tax, the tax that they believe had no fundamental benefit to their life. These historical antecedents backed with the blood of the people to struggle led to the foundations of the democracy that we enjoy today. People that fought against the historical independence of the fundamental democracy that is enjoyed today are those Mr. Bwaka is parading with. We want want to remind Liberians, those of you from the intelligentsia class, to read the Barnier's Commission's report. That report was a committee set up by Mr. Willow Awatobo to investigate the April 14, 1979 uprising and why the West Riot happened. The Tubman administration intended to provide a very false narrative to the people that the Tui Olugage was providing competitive and reputable sentences to the people. That report that was ushered in, and that committee that was formulated by Willow Awatobo told Liberians and they spoof Willow Awatobo about the senseless killing, the massive brutalization of peaceful people, and why April 14, 1979 was necessary. The BBC recalled that on the fateful day of April 14, 1979, that there were around 200 people that was killed and buried in mass graves. The government state media at the time recorded that there were over 40 persons that were killed. So if you do your own independent analysis, Congress, the numbers of deaths will accumulate to over 1,000. Mr. Willow Awatobo killed over 1,000 men and women who stood the grounds to champion democratic values in this country. Mr. Willow Awatobo slaughtered innocent women and children in uniform that were protesting with books in their hands. They made their slaughter and a dramatic and tragic end under a regime who believed that totalitarianism was the way to suppress the people's voice. Today, Joseph Boyka, without reading history, without having clear antithesis and sound thesis to the reality of historical antecedent, is passing around with an empty casted charade. A president, an individual that lacks the fundamental understanding to the historical analysis of the day, is winning on the state an abominable abomination for thinking about reburying Willow Awatobo, and he have already reburied Samuel Kanyandu.
Yo, rescue missions, rescue the day by the yo.
And made the historical realities that this regime that is now celebrated today cause mayhem on the people and made the people's resolve. Mr. Boyka is looking at the elites and forgetting about the downtrodden masses in his venture for reconciliation. Mr. Boyka's quest for reconciliation is only taking into consideration the elite class in this country. Mr. Boyka doesn't have time for Tonian racism. Mr. Boyka doesn't have time for Aaron Nipson. Mr. Boyka doesn't have time for the countless of fathers that left their homes early that morning and up to now they have not returned. Mr. Boyka reconciliation doesn't cover them. Mr. Boyka reconciliation is only about fighting Flimmer's party. Let us say this while Mr. Boyka is intending to do this, and let us unveil the political motive around this. The reason Mr. Boyka reburied Samuel Kanyandu in a very empty casket with not even a single bone in it, leads to talk about tissue, is because Mr. Boyka wants to have an accumulative advantage in the Southeast. Mr. Boyka thinks that by reburying the United Party that have decimally underperformed in the Southeast, we have a face to go back to the people in the Southeast and tell them that the person you hire from the Southeast did not think about reburying Doe and begin president and rebury Doe. It is about political motivated move. It is not about general reconciliation. We want to say this to Mr. Boyka and his government. The Student Unification Party will not rest until the reconciliatory process is inclusive. We want to say this to you, Mr. Boyka, that insofar you consider reburying Doe without taking into consideration the reconciliatory effort to reconciling Aaron Nipson, you will meet the result of the Student Unification Party. The Benioff Commission's report that has been emailed, fast forward to the TRC report that is before your decks, and your government is paying lip service on it, will be used as a weapon to rally Liberians around your early existence for national leadership. I want to say this to you: you cannot disabuse history and expect to be celebrated by the people. You cannot compromise the resolve of justice, reconciliation, and peace and think that you will work on the altar of services and on the moral of administrative glorification. Commerce, the TRC report has been very clear. And the time for Boycott to email the TRC report, and one recommendation from the TRC report is an affront to the entire process about reconciliation. That will remind Mr. Boycott that reconciliation is not only about burying Samuel Doe and William our trouble. Reconciliation is to make sure foods are on the table of the civil servant that works every day and go to bed hungry. Reconciliation is by reconciling the national budget to meet national priorities. You cannot have the national budget that only reflects 95% of elite state individuals living at opponents, while the masses of the people, the proletarian and the Lutheran proletarian, are at the dustbin of the poverty level, and you say that's reconciliation. You cannot say reconciliation is to satisfy your enriching ego of buying a loose or 2.4 million car, a convoy of around 20 to 30 in numbers, while the civil servant in this country cannot even afford a bicycle. You cannot say this is reconciliation. When the Benioff Commission's report remind the William Arrow Toba administration that to truly reconcile this country, the government of William Arrow Toba must address the objective conditions of the economic welfare of the people that led to the exits of the William Arrow Toba regime to a mastermind coup by elected Master Sergeant Samuel Canado. This reality is before your death today, Mr. President. This reality that the people are going to be hungry and make you parade with a budget of 2.5 million to only go, quote unquote, a reconciliated venture that does not meet the objective reality of the people will be resisted by the Student Unification Party. We want to inform Mr. Boycott that if this recommendation of the Student Unification Party is not taken into consideration, that one, a committee be set out to institute a total reconciliatory process that will consider the massive statement that was massacred by the Tubman administration on April 14, 1979. We will rally the people on July 26 and will assemble at the executive pavilion or wherever you are, Mr. President, to demand that justice is living. Will lead a national rally to cover general reconciliation on July 26. Will inform the people in the Shoniwe, will mobilize and rally the people in the Shoni ghetto, and will bring them at your doorstep, Mr. President. You cannot pass around. You cannot make mockery of the people in the need of your quote-unquote venture for reconciliation, where you cannot address the prevailing concern of those masses people. It is true that our nation too need a befitting burial, as William Arrow Toba is giving a befitting burial. This is the reason, comrades, if you have read history, when the apartheid was abolished in 1994 and the people in South Africa went for a democratic election, the ANC thought that it was necessary to celebrate June 16 as a day of the African child, to celebrate the courageous resolve of people that fought for democracy in South Africa. Today, when Mr. Boycott thinks that you can ignore the voices of April 14, 1979, and think you were quiet and silent, the Student Unification Party will meet you on July 26, 2005. You can bring your police outside. You can bring your army, like Toba did to the students' masses on July 26. If a committee is not consummated to make inclusive the people that was murdered by the Toba administration and by Samuel Canado, we will rally Liberians to your doorstep on July 26. This we can say to you, Mr. President. We are prepared to do that. July 26th is a day we demand reconciliation for the people in this country. July 26th is the day we rally the people. A regime that is bending on compromising justice to please the political elites and the patronage must be met with the forceful resolve of the conscious militants and revolutionaries at the barricade of consciousness. Let us say this to those progressive in government: we are not disappointed, because when we all knew that a day will come that you will be at the crossroad. Yesterday, you championed the demand for April 14, 1979. It was all in your recitation that the progressive were never wrong to challenge multi-party democracy in this country. Today, Mr. Boyka is a beneficiary of the democracy that was ushered in by selfless men and women who laid down their lives, regardless of the men and women that stood before them, regardless of the army that confessed them, to usher in a boycott that, according to him, could not even drink milk when he was born, to be living at the luxury opponents of the people and taking home a budget around 4 million, and you come here and make mockery of the people that sacrifice their lives in making sure that you live at opponents, and you think will allow you go scot-free by misinterpreting and misreading history. You are joking, Mr. President. You are joking. This is a historical cause that we are prepared to champion. We are prepared to champion the cause for the dignification of those people that are lying at the mass grave when you went there and criminate went on our top of among them and brought them to give you a befitting funeral only because you want to have a name made for yourself among the American Liberians. Only because you want your administration to be given an international acclaim process that you did what our administration could not have done. You cannot rebury Doe without thinking about reburying Will Gabi Tapia. You cannot rebury Doe without thinking about reburying Aaron Nipsey. These people, these men and women, blood was used as a water to fetter the revolution and lay the blueprint of the democracy that you enjoy today. If the government of Liberia cannot commemorate that committee, involve student leaders in this country to commemorate and celebrate a general reconciliatory effort, the July 26th celebration will be another historical reality that will be confronted by men and women at the barricade of consciousness. We are calling on all progressive forces and ideological movement in this country to see July 26th as a day to demand national reconciliation and national unity. And may Mr. Boyka quote-unquote kwasa, misguided, misapplied, and misrepresented illogic of what it should be. We are saying this to Liberians. The need for reconciliation is not only given to president. We are saying this again. We hold no sympathy for Mr. Doe. We hold sympathy for Nelson Doe. Peace to our artists. But Doe deserves to die. And if need be, if history repeats itself, he must be killed in a more brutal way than he was killed. For the fact that you can kill over 600 people, men and women, pastors and imams, babies, mothers and pregnant women, in a raid or massacre, we cannot celebrate you as a president that should be given a befitting state funeral. When on our trouble,
all men are equal, deserve the right to live.
When on our trouble, too deserve to die. Oh yes, if history revisits itself, the need to have a more forceful re-death is imperative upon him. We owe no one an apology. No one an apology for our stand on these issues. If Mr. Boyka thinks that his reconciliatory efforts only to please Samuel Doe, the Doe family in the Southeast, and to give him vote in the Southeast, and the American Liberians to give him vote among the American Liberians bloc, and to cement his international acclaim image of a failing state, you will meet the Student Unification Party on the 26th of July 2025. Wherever you are, Mr. President will be with you and will demand for reconciliation, and we will demand a day in history in this country too, as we are doing to Samuel Doe and William Arrow Trouble. Comrades, before we conclude, let us just inform the Liberian people that I made Mr. Boyka, quote unquote, reconciliatory venture. Mr. Boyka is not just on the verge of leading the state into a possible collapse, but it's leading the country into a more dangerous path. The government of Joseph Boyka instituted what they call an executive order establishing the asset recovery team. The asset recovery team was mandated to retrieve stolen assets from current and former government officials. When the asset recovery team was consummated, the Student Unification Party firstly raised the alarm that the function of the asset recovery team will undermine the workings of the Anti-Corruption Commission. You cannot constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate corruption, retrieve property, when the Anti-Corruption Commission has such statutory responsibilities and mandate by law. Without taking into consideration all of our recommendations, Mr. Boyka went ahead today. You have the Asset Recovery Committee that is almost like a political watchdog, roaming around making flimsy and lousy noise without being independent to its investigation. We want to inform the people of Liberia the move of prosecuting officials of government is welcomed by the Student Unification Party, but we must firstly and foremost, as an independent revolutionary institution, unveil the die cutting on the sleeve of Mr. Boyka in his venture to retrieve assets that were stolen. Let us say this. Every Liberian now know that the asset recovery team is only targeted towards few group of people that disagree with the president. The Liberian government is aware that the current deputy speaker has in his possession 46 F-moving equipment comprises of trucks, yellow machines that was intended to rehabilitate the road. This equipment was bought on the CDC administration in 2022. The transitional note that is in our possession has outlined that Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler is in possession and is using this equipment for his own private businesses. The document is before the Asset Recovery Committee. They will not take actions on Thomas Fowler because Mr. Boyka has a percentage in all of the profit that these machines and these operative instruments is given to Thomas Fowler. Let us say this. Thomas Fowler is accumulating every year 10 million from Pierre Martin, from Aston Metal to transport raw materials to the port of Monrovia, to rehabilitate roads in Lima County where Aston Metal is operating. Thomas Fowler, as Deputy Speaker, that is using government equipment on his possession, will document before the Asset Recovery Committee, the Liberia National Legislature, the Anti-Corruption Commission, and the GST and the GSE is working free, while the government is running after political opponents. Let us say this again. They say Thomas Fowler was given for 2017 up to 2022 a sum of 18 million directly through national budget for the construction of the T5 University. That university should be confiscated and turned into a public library for Liberian students. But today, Mr. Fowler is working free only because he has organized a political movement called the Falashe that is entitled to protect the United Party vote in 2023 and to take away the numbers of the citizens that believe in Thomas Fowler to support Mr. Boyka's venture. Because of that, Mr. Thomas Fowler, Deputy Speaker, is working free. The interesting fact and reality about it is this. This document is before the text of the Asset Recovery Team, and they are doing nothing about it. Mr. Fowler is making huge number of money on the sweat and blood of Liberians people. But the broadcast administration is paying lip service and deaf ears. These assets recovery committee, like I continue to say, is a charade. If this is what Mr. Barker is claiming, that you want to reconcile this country and you are proceeding in this way, Mr. Barker is dividing the nation on multiple fronts. Again, the PYJ Polytechnic University is another university that the Asset Recovery Committee has every document stored. It will not be touched because now it is operated under the watchful eye of the current Vice President Jeremiah Pankun. Again, the hospital that was built by Jeremiah Kun in Lima County, quote-unquote, that was turned over to the county are now being turned over to Jeremiah Kun to be operated as a private hospital. That is a government-funded property. The Asset Recovery Committee has all of these documents. But they will not go for them because they are officials of government. In conclusion, the Asset Recovery Committee needs to submit herself before the GSC and Anti-Corruption Commission for using money to quote-unquote renovate offices that cannot be seen as, for the matter of fact, the Asset Recovery Committee is working in thin air. The office of the Asset Recovery Committee is in space. They come from space every day and they come and arrest one person and carry them some beach and they go back space. But this is a committee that took 896,000 to rent office and we cannot see the office in this country.
Yo, Asset Recovery team is a big scam. Yo.
This Asset Recovery Committee took over 190,000 to fit billboard around this country to create awareness that it has started working. Up to now, Congress, we cannot see a single billboard that is illustrating where this asset recovery is working from. But that I say this to Liberians: never be deterred, never be intimidated. Mr. Barker will be history. This calamity of a nightmare that before this nation will be resisted. The Student Unification Party is around and is prepared in making sure that Barker is history. So on the basis of this, we want to remind Liberians again, progressive forces, solidarity allies that are sincere about reconciliation, that July 26 is the day of history, and July 26 is the day the Student Unification Party will lead the people of Liberia into total liberation, for reconciliation, for justice, and for inclusive governance. Amanda Awetu. Oh, for the chairman.